I changed my toothbrush to a bamboo toothbrush. I don't take so much time in the shower. They're little things, but these little things, with little steps, we can do so much. And throughout my YouTube, throughout my Twitter, throughout my Facebook, my Instagram, all of these messages, I try to say them every day. And let me tell you something, it has done something. I thought it didn't, but all the girls that follow me and that want to be something like me, they have told me, Laura, today I woke up, I didn't use plastic. Today I woke up and I told my friends to go to school and plant some plants. You know, with just that, I feel that I'm making a change. And I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect environmentalist, but we need more imperfect environmentalists that can make little changes.
I think we all should stop judging people, judging whatever the people is doing bad, and start encouraging people to do more positive things for the world.
Not to be so negative.
Exactly.
Be more
I'm not judging. Sometimes we're trying to be better with the environment, having a more sustainable life, but people are always judging you. Okay, you're an environmentalist, or you're fighting, or you're striking yesterday for environmental, but you are flying from Colombia to here, or whatever. People,
believe me, that happens.
I know.
Every time I put on Twitter.
We need to stop judging
Yes.
people and start encouraging people.
Yes, I was saying that every time I put that I have to do a travel for work, even when it's, for example, to cover the climate negotiations or something, people start saying, "Oh, your carbon emissions." Okay, yes, I'm going to compensate. Maybe, and I think that an act of compensation is being here talking about this and trying to encourage you to act on the things. You mentioned some of topics or daily change of habits that you have been doing, but regarding particularly the Amazon, how people far from the place can help. Because, for example, in Argentina, that is the country of meat, you know that, it's very difficult to talk about, promote the reduce of consumption of meat. So, which are the things that you think that people far from the Amazon can do to help, apart from following Act for Amazonia?
Yeah. No, I think it's a personal journey. For me, it's trying to unlearn a lot of things we've been learning from the modern life. We need to start learning the basics of nature. For me, it's trying to live as indigenous people, not going to the wild and living in the wild, but really having this respect for all living things, and trying to consume less, to be really conscious about everything we consume, not only the food we consume or the clothes we buy, but also the things we watch, the things we talk about, the people who we talk about. It's a process that comes from the heart, that comes within.
I agree with Toya. I think we as influencers have to connect modern urban life with nature every day, and it's not easy to do that because some people have their minds in some other parts of the world. And right now, what I think we can do best is to inform people and take action in social media. That's it.
Nothing less, nothing more. And what about the next step? Because meanwhile, media is not, and I am journalist, I must say, but the thing is that maybe only specialized journalists are still talking about what is happening in the Amazon, but in the general media, we are not watching still the news. What is the next step for the Amazon? What do you recommend? That are the following steps.
Well, the story of the Act for Amazonia began a month ago. We create this platform where people could donate, and we wanted to create this community of conscious, sensitive, informed people in order to act. At the beginning, it was everyone was posting, everyone was Act for Amazonia, pray for Amazonia, everyone was concerned. But a week later, everything started fading. in social media, I think that's the problem. So I think I don't know how this sounds, but I think we should make like a trend that
should be
lasts
always
forever.
a trend topic.
A trend topic. We should make like people think that it's cool to act, that it's cool to shout out for the environment. I think we should make our best to tackle climate change. I don't know. We create this community, and we've been doing a lot of things. We are we've been planting trees in Colombia, and we are also like trying every month to do it and encouraging people to do it as well.
I have a Mexican friend right here. He's Martin. He was telling me yesterday that every week he would take foundations of little kids to plant trees, to make them aware of what's happening in the world, because little children are so connected to technology, but they don't really know what's going on in the world. So the best way we can make awareness is to inform people. I don't want to sound like I'm repeating everything, but throughout social media, we can make such a big impact, such a big change. And youth right now maybe is the most important people we have to touch right now, because they are the future. In 50 years, they are the ones who are going to live in this planet. And this planet won't be what they're expecting if they're not doing anything. So the children are right now, the young people are the most important part of the society that need to contribute in this climate change. So through
being the change to inspire the change.
Exactly.
I have tattooed that, so
Yeah.
Let me see.
I have a tattoo on that. So I would like to open to, if you have like one or two questions maybe regarding the time, if you want to ask to the speaker something. Yes?
Okay, so I heard that Pompeo and the Brazilian economic person got together, and they believe that the only way to address the issue in the Amazon is for business to control it. Have you been paying attention to this story? Because it's antithetical to what indigenous people want and to what most people understand.
Wait, because otherwise...
Sorry, yeah. Hi, this is a complex question, but basically, a week ago on Friday, Pompeo from the United States government met with the head of the economic department of Brazil. And they quietly shook their hands, and they said the only way to address what is happening in the Amazon, which by the way is the size of the continental United States, most people don't know that. The only way to address it is for business to take it over, for business to manage the Amazon. Meanwhile, there are 400 tribes there. So my question is, how do we educate our youth to understand that this is their future, but they may have a voice here. They may have a way to say something with regard directly to that, because it's very dangerous. Thank you.
I mean, the situation in the Amazon, of course, is very political, and it regards on also the economical situation in the country, because there are a lot of interest on the Amazon, and the actual president of Brazil has expressed directly what are their main concerns on the Amazon, that unfortunately are not to take care of the environment, and we all know that. I don't know specifically about the meeting, so I don't want to say anything regarding that. But in terms of the youth, I would like to call, this week Antonio Guterres, the General Secretary of UN, he talks that at the beginning or at the end, the governments will have to listen to what youth are demanding. So I will try to trust on that maybe today, the leaders that are not listening, youth, they should have at the end of the story. So, I don't know. No, there was another question? Yes.
Thank you so much. My question as a physician and a woman activist is to both of you ladies, lovely ladies from the fashion industry. What are you doing in your power to make sure the fashion industry also becomes more environmentally responsible? Because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And what are the products which go into all the cosmetics we use every day? So how are you doing something? Because I think you ladies, along with your other peers, are best to address it because you're actually in the fashion. And thank you, moderator, great panel.
That's actually a very good question, and that's what most people are asking us right now, that we're like in fashion business, but we want to be activists and help the planet. For example, I was a shopaholic. I have to be honest with this. I loved to buy everything I could see in front of me because I wanted to be trendy, because I wanted to see I wanted to post in social media newer and newer clothes, but then I realized I don't need that much clothes. And right now, what people are truly, what they truly admire right now is the fact that you're taking care of the whole situation of climate change. So I don't care anymore if I post a picture with the same clothes that I did wear like a week ago. And for example, I have this friend who's doing garage sales every day, so we don't have to buy more and more clothes. And in Colombia, designers are actually doing plastic and carbon paper designs. They're so creative with our nature, and they're becoming more sustainable and more eco-friendly. And that's what's happening right now in Colombia. I don't know what's going on here in the US. The market of fashion is incredibly big. I know some big brands like H&M are doing this conscious line, but the things we can do as influencers are those kind of things. Stop buying so much. Try to think what is really necessary in your closet. What products are you buying? Are they animal tested? Are they not good for the environment? I mean, I have been searching a lot about that after I became a little bit more aware of the situation. So thank you for asking. And if someone after this could tell us what's going on in the fashion business here in America, it would be amazing to know that too.
Well, for me, it's, I really wanted to be coherent. I don't know if that's a word, coherencia, coherent. And I stopped working with brands, which I didn't like. Yeah, so for the past year, I've been like trying not to work with all these brands that are not committed to our environment crisis or to look in solutions. So I think that's the real action. We need to stop consuming brands that are not like on that mission, so they can shift the way they produce, the way they think, and really, I don't know, really, yes, make a change on the industry, fashion industry.
Thanks. I will add, if you want, it's very interesting to follow the Fashion Revolution movement, that they have a transparency index where they are analyzing all the brands of fashion, and you are going to see who are doing best, who don't have any information about the process, because in the fashion industry, it's not only about the environmental impact, it's also about transparency and who are the people behind the clothes. You know the movement, who made my clothes, or quién hizo mi ropa. So try to think if you can answer that with the clothes that you're wearing now. It's very difficult. For example, this ring, it's made with recycled buttons and from women in vulnerable community in Buenos Aires. So if I can explain this, you know, this ring has a story. So regarding our panel, just to close, I will say that it's important maybe not to ask big media why they are not talking about the Amazon. Try to follow the people that, yes, is talking about the Amazon, independent journalism, specialized journalism, and influencer with a very responsibility use of social media. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys give our panel a hand. I'm going to ask the moderator to stay. Thank you, ladies, for such a great session. Give them a hand one more time, guys. So we're actually going to stay with our moderator for our next session. And we have our guests. They can come on up. This next section is going to be climate justice for human rights. Our discussants will underscore the importance of addressing the climate emergency with a human rights lens to ensure just transition and protection of vulnerable communities. So you guys give us a hand for our second, actually our third panel now. Please, everyone.
Okay, here I am again, like another channel, another program on the same channel, but a very interesting theme to talk about that sometimes is missing when we are talking about climate change, that is climate justice, that is crucial when we are talking about the action against climate change. And here I have Josh Roche and, sorry if I spelled wrong, Ashwin Paranhape. It's okay like this? Sorry. Okay, so I will ask you to introduce like a tweet of yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Joshua Rush. I am an actor and an activist. Thank you. Yeah, I'm an actor and an activist, and for the last year and a half, I've been running News in a Rush, which is a weekly explainer of kind of what I deem to be the most important issue in politics. I've been focusing my main efforts in the climate change space on human rights and also just on making sure that everybody is able to move their governments in the right direction on this crucial issue.
Hi, I'm Ashwin Paranspe from India. I have studied agriculture, horticulture, and ecology, and I'm currently a teacher of environmental science at the UWC Mahindra College of India, and I also do farming. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Just to start, maybe a simple but complex question. How do you define climate justice? Because we do not hear too much about climate justice, and it's crucial when we are talking about climate change.
So, I mean, when I think about human rights, my mind often jumps to the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and there's a lot of really important things on there, things that sound very familiar, right to liberty, right to security of person. The one that I personally hinge on the most is just generally the right to life. And it's incredibly broad to say something like this, but really, when we think about the things, the food security, the clean air, the right to water, when we think about these things that we all need just to survive, and climate change is going to have a direct impact on them, I think it's terrifying to be 17 and look out at this really increasingly bleak world. So more than anything else, I look at climate justice as justice for all, for everyone. We know that this is going to affect those in our most underprivileged communities first, and it's going to affect them the hardest. So how do we protect them? And then also, how do we protect everyone? Because climate change is not just an issue for a very, very small minority. It is an issue that is going to affect all of us at an incredibly high level.
I think I would like to draw everyone's attention to ecosystem communities. I'll explain, or I'll share what that means. But I would just like to ask people sitting here, who amongst us depends directly on the ecosystem around us for the water, food, and shelter that we need. Is there anybody who takes their water or food directly from the nature around you? Please raise your hands. Yeah, quite a few. Okay, maybe 3 people out of 100. The meaning of this is obvious. I think the most vulnerable communities who are at the receiving end of the climate change crisis are the ecosystem people who ironically have always been the caretakers of nature. And it is the modern society and the modern models of governance or laws or even global expectations of quality of life, which are often thrust on ecosystem communities, and we expect them to follow all these things and become civilized. So I think I would just like to draw attention to these people who are basically farmers, pastoralists, or even hunter-gatherers, fishermen, and most importantly, internal and external refugees. I think we need to really think about these sections of our society.
Thank you. A very interesting topic when we talk about refugees, because the definition of refugees still doesn't include climate. Yes, it's only about persecution, political persecution or violence. It's not about climate, but we have a lot of people migrating because of the effects on climate change. So I think that in this year we should have that discussion. But Ashwin, I was going to talk regarding your experience. Which do you think is the role of educational institution that could have, and if you have any example of the work in India?
Yes, I think educational institutions all across the globe play a key role in climate education and as well as climate justice. I think educational institutions as well as educators have the responsibility of informing the youth with the correct information about climate change, backed up with data, statistics, and commonly understood or commonly agreed science. Because young people don't take anything at its face value. They want to know the data, they want to know the science behind it. And I think it is the role of educators like me and you to give them that information in a scientific manner. I also feel giving information is not enough, but we need to guide the youth to actually engage in a dialogue, because climate change is going to impact different countries in very different ways. And that is what we do at the United World Colleges, where students from more than 70 different nations come together and live and study together for 2 years and try to understand each other's issues, where they come from, their cultures, and how climate change impacts the different parts of this world. So I think educational institutions are like a key catalyst in bringing about the spirit of sustainability and the care for climate change amongst the youth today.
Thank you. Josh, as a student, what would you say it should be the role of educational institution to raise awareness on climate justice?
Yeah, I think you're so right. And what's scary as well, and I don't want to sound alarmist, but I'm also very, very alarmist, just generally as a person, and I honestly don't think that there's kind of enough alarmism around the climate. But as we've seen this rate of acceleration of our planet's warming happening, we've also seen a rate of acceleration towards people denying climate change, which is mind-blowing to me in and of itself, that we're living in a world like this. But really, it starts very, very early. And it starts with these instilled values that I think that all young people inherently have, these values of morality and this value of curiosity and wanting to understand. And so it starts with having a great education, starting with a science-based education, explaining how scary it is what we're living through right now is going to be absolutely crucial towards creating whatever generation is going to be called after Gen Z. What is going to happen after my generation? My generation is the one that's going to be in this car crash, basically. What about the one after the crash? So how do we educate them, and how do we start moving so that we can create a better lifestyle for them?
When you talk about climate change alarmism, what is your opinion on that? I mean, we need to be on alert on climate change. Do you think we, as the panel before, we were talking about being more positive and not too much negative? What is your opinion? Regarding also, I would like to know what you read on the or watch on the media.
Yeah, so a lot of other people came in and were super optimistic, and that's just not me because it's just not who I am. But yeah, I know. I'm just incredibly worried about it, and I think that it's important to talk about it. It's important to look at this. I'm a policy wonk. It's part of the reason that I have no friends. It's because I'm a policy wonk. And so looking at this from a perspective of how can we create better policy for the next generation is going to be absolutely crucial. Then we can talk about education. Then we can talk about how do we create a generation that's going to create more good policy, more harder to handle, but also just more courageous policy. The Paris Climate Agreement is a great step in the right direction, but it also packages environmental policy within this neoliberal framework. This framework of how can we nudge investment banks while they still make lots and lots of money towards contributing to the problem. And I think that the Paris Climate Agreement is fantastic and important, and it's not enough. So what we need to do is create the next generation and inform and excite my generation towards continuing to move and continuing to create more courageous policy.
I love because he's talking about the next generation, and I feel so old. Even I feel old like next to him. Ashwin, you feel the same like me? Yes.
Absolutely.
I love that power, thinking about everyone. But Ashwin, talking about that, how we can work in order to include vulnerable communities, because when we are talking about the effects of climate change, sometimes I think that the people that is trying to think solution for them, it's not the people that it's going to be affected.
Yeah, I think that's a very crucial question. Most of the times, people who are offering solutions to climate-affected people or just people who are in distress are not the ones who are suffering. So how do we make sure that the people who are offering the solutions actually understand the problem? There's just a few things I wanted to share based on my own experience in India. What we realized is when we went to the villages and started talking to ecosystem people or just farmers or tribal people, we realized that they have a massive storehouse of
Oh.
I think I'll just speak loudly.
Oh no, they can't hear you online. Getting technical support. Okay.
Sorry, technical issues.
This kind of live on TV online by viewers all around the world, so we need them to speak through the mic so everybody can hear. Okay?
Yes. So what we realized is ecosystem communities or rural communities have a massive storehouse of traditional knowledge or what we call traditional wisdom, and they already know how to use their resources frugally and sustainably. Now, in the duration of time that has elapsed, what has happened is a lot of these people have lost this information or have been told that this information is no longer relevant and they have to adopt modern principles. So I think the first step is to understand whom you're dealing with, understand their problem, even ask them if they want to be helped. A lot of the times we do projects or we do interventions because we feel it's a good idea, and we don't even ask the local community. I think that's a major error that is made by not only governments, but even NGOs who are implementing development projects. So I think it is time that we study the traditional knowledge of these people, we document it, and we take measures to maintain it in future. Because many times, new solutions or urban solutions are not the best fit for this community.
George, as a human rights activist, what advice will you give to people if they want, like, to also be involved in climate justice and human rights?
So, one of the chants yesterday that we had was, what do we want? Climate justice. When do we want it? Now. If we don't get it, shut it down. And so that comes from a very, very real place of we are going to shut down governments. We are going to vote out people who are elected officials who are not willing to listen to us and are not willing to listen to how dire this situation really, really is. We're going to vote them out. We're going to have them gone. And then we're going to replace them with people who are actually ready and willing to listen to the science. So if you're an elected official and you're watching this, I don't know who you are, but hello, please hire me, I'm looking for jobs. If you're an elected official and you're watching this and you're a climate denier, we're gonna vote you out. Your job is about to be gone. So it starts there. It starts with voting out the wrong officials. And then we move to putting the right people in, putting the right policy in action, and then once we have that policy in action, we go even further. We get more courageous with it. We get more intense with it, because the situation is that important. We can also talk about getting individual action involved. Cutting down on meat is something that's super important if you're able to do that. Being more sustainable in our daily lives is something that I won't touch on because basically everybody else can, but what I can touch on is creating courageous policy. Things like a global carbon tax with a rebate that is given back to the public would instantaneously make the effects of climate change that would be felt on balance sheets 50 years from now, they could be felt right now. And instead of putting that money in the pockets of billionaires, we can put that money right back into the pockets of the people with a tax rebate. It's possible. The right economic fiscal policy is possible. We just have to be willing to do it. And I get it, it's ugly. A tax is a everything but the kitchen sink approach, and a tax is a really ugly word. Nobody likes to talk about it. But it might be what we need to do to protect my generation, the next generation, and the generation after that. God willing that we have one.
I want that video of you talking to the camera with subtitles because we have presidential elections in Argentina, so that will be also good for the candidates. So Ashwin, regarding your experience, what advice will you give to people to get involved in climate justice and human rights?
Yeah, I think the first step is to inform yourself, get the figures right, understand the problem, and then see where you fit in the larger picture. Because all of us come from different backgrounds, economic, social, cultural, and but the truth is that we are all part of the same society. So we need to know where we fit in the picture, and then get clarity on what is our role in changing this situation. Whether you're a teacher or a student or a politician. I was happy to hear that Josh is on his way to becoming a politician, and he has my best wishes. So no matter who you are, you need to know your specific role and then act on it. Don't just talk about it, but act on it. And I think there's too many people talking about this issue and not enough people doing anything about it. And I think that's where we need to start changing things.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. Sorry, I have a question. How do we inform people in these more rural, in these more underprivileged communities of things like that, of the facts and of the actual data?
Wow, I hadn't actually thought about it, but the truth is that they are actually living oblivion, okay? there is no internet. Many times there is no cellular coverage in these remote areas. So their only source of information is what travelers bring when they come from some distant town or a city. And other than that, they are just trying to survive on a day-to-day basis. So I think that is a major problem. These are people who are completely, forget about social media, they are not connected to any media. And I think it's a major role for the governments of developing countries especially to play, to provide the right kind of information to these people. A lot of the governments in developing countries today, including mine, have been using social media primarily for political gains. And I think that is a state of affairs. I think they need to be using these tools, the digital media, to get out good, relevant, real information in the local language to these local communities. Because if the governments don't do it, I think individuals are very limited in their capacity to go from village to village and spread the message. So I think this is a major responsibility that governments of the developing world have to play in the future.
We have time for one question, if there's anyone on the audience that they want. Yes, the first one that. I don't know if. Can you come here, please? So we want all the people that are watching worldwide to also see you asking the question.
So we're talking about climate justice, and it often happens that the populations that are most at risk are severely underrepresented or under-resourced. So they just don't have the resources to take actions for themselves. So what are some of the ways that we can empower such populations so that they're not left out of the conversation and actually have the power to have some kind of an impact on climate change and all of the other issues that we're facing today? Also, great panel.
I will ask, regarding my role as a journalist, I always try to see who are the people that I try to give my voice, and I try to make balance, for example, like men and women, and not only give the voice to the leaders or the public sector, but also the people affected. So I think we have a lot of power as journalists every time we give voice to people, so that it's in my role as a journalist, I try to do that way, I try to look for the people that it's more effective, or will be more effective, and give them a voice.
So I talk a lot about a climate tax, a carbon tax. It's like my favorite. It's my favorite economic thing. It's my favorite policy proposal. It worked in Sweden. It worked in British Columbia. It worked in Alberta. I think that it can work worldwide. And so what's incredible about this is that we can take this money from these corporations that are hurting our climate, that are affecting these underprivileged communities, and we can take that money and put it right back into those communities. It doesn't have to be an equal opportunity rebate to everyone. We can focus the money that comes from a carbon tax to specific issues. In the United States, one that keeps coming up is student debt. If we put a carbon tax and a wealth tax in place right now, we could eliminate student debt for every American, forever. It's not a far-off policy position, and it can happen with social policy around the world in every single issue with the right funding and the right focus of tax dollars. It can happen.
I think when we're talking about vulnerable communities, we need to understand that these communities are already resilient. They are extremely resilient throughout the course of history, but we have jeopardized their resilience by damaging their ecosystems. So if the question is how can we empower them to survive climate change or to be resilient, the answer is actually quite simple. Protect their ecosystems, stop damaging their ecosystems, and let them continue to be the way they are and lead their life the way they have done for the last thousands of years.
Thank you so much. To finish this panel, I would like to say yesterday, Mary Robinson, in an event outside in a forum, she said that yesterday with the march, it was a good day for climate justice. So try to join also next Friday on the march, wherever you are also who are watching us now. And also, I always say that try to use your power when you are voting politically. And even also to ask for information previously. Do you know what the candidates are thinking of the Paris Agreement, climate action, or including vulnerable communities on their politics? So use your power and read, inform, and act. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for our amazing panel. Awesome. So we've had 3 panels so far and a call to action from Juan Pablo. And right now it's time to really find out what's in our Youth Climate Compact. So we've got a lot of information from this morning. We know that we have a lot to do in terms of the forest, in terms of the ocean, in terms of human rights and social justice. But how do we keep all of this connected and organized in an easy to understand way? Well, over the past several months, we've been holding global consultations with young people, both physically and virtually, engaging in conversations to find out what are we thinking about, what are we most concerned with. And with all the issues are discussed, we found out that the underlying theme is, well, climate. So for the 2019 United Nations Civil Society Conference, we decided to focus our youth document on climate. We named it the Youth Climate Compact, and it is a basic primer to action on climate now. It starts with a preamble that kind of lays out the situation for anybody who may not be as up to speed, and then includes 25 pledges on things that we can do, each and every one of us. And then it ends up with a call to action. So now we're going to have an international reading of the pledges from the Youth Climate Compact. And let's run the video for that. Can we have the video? Thank you. So just a reminder that this is only a portion of the Youth Climate Compact. We encourage you to read the entire document online, hashtag Youth Climate Compact. It's also on bit.ly/Youth Climate Compact. Just remember to capitalize the YCC. And we'll have the video in a second. So for this video, it's actually the beginning of a global video campaign. We're asking young people and older people, who we also ask for advice in the writing and editing of this document, to record their own videos, reading the document and showing their support. So for this first rendition, we have about 10 young people from all around the world reading the pledges and presenting them. It's not working? Okay. All right, so the video's not... Okay, we got it. This is the UN for you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we can make it work. So let's see it.
We the youth, unite in action against the climate crisis. The Earth's climate is nearing the point of no return, from which life on the planet cannot recover. The cost of inaction is too immense. Threats to the climate menace every aspect of our world, and the sustainable communities we must build for the future depend on our collective will to meet and overcome these existential challenges.
Hereby, we the youth pledge to: first, raise awareness in our own communities about policy that is detrimental to the health of our planet, and promote policy which works to confront the main causes of the climate crisis.
2. Educate ourselves, our families, and our networks through formal and informal channels, including social media, on the impact that we as individuals and as a collective society have on the climate through daily lifestyle choices.
3. Innovate climate conscious solution to local and global changes and support steering of sustainable products for widespread use.
4. Advance the widespread education of women and girls understanding that doing so is a critical step in combating climate change.
5. Be mindful of the effects of our consumption, compounding, and the manufacturing, transport, storage, sales, use, and disposal of products.
6. Implement the 6 R's. Reduce, reuse, recycle, repair, rethink, and refuse in order to fulfill a net negative carbon future to reverse environmental degradation.
7. Use our purchasing power to encourage businesses to prioritize sustainable manners and environmental well-being over short-term profits.
Prioritize environmentally friendly mobility options. Influence relevant governing bodies to center the avoid shift and improve framework in their building of sustainable local mobility system and infrastructure.
9. Properly dispose of waste and advocate for improved waste management infrastructure.
10. Avoid single-use plastic products and packaging to reduce the accumulation of waste.
Number 11. Shift our diets to be plant-forward and climate-conscious. Reduce meat consumption and demanding reform in food production industries as appropriate. I need to work on that.
12. Call attention to the environmental harms caused by factory farming and unsustainable agricultural practices. Opt for local food and support sustainable producers.
13. Caution against the toxic consumption and limit our use of certain cosmetics, personal care, cleaning, and menstrual hygiene products, thereby reducing their contribution to pollution and ozone depletion.
But the biggest constituent of production that exhibit deforestation at all our government to improve forest ecosystem health and deforesting land.
15. Protect forests and rainforests, which produce large amounts of oxygen from fires and destruction.
16. Use renewable sources of energy such as hydropower, solar, wind, geothermal, and biomass. When accessible, divest from fossil fuels, mining, and other businesses that profit at the expense of our planet.
17. Commit to conserving current energy reserves and sources through sparing usage only when necessary, effectively reducing carbon output and protecting energy security.
18. Invest in climate solutions and green jobs, ensuring our industrial transition towards a net negative economy is just, equitable, and does not leave people and communities behind.
19. Integrate climate-resilient infrastructures and business models to reduce the effects of natural disasters.
20. Support organizations that strive to reduce negative impact on the environment while actively engaging in innovative and sustainable practices.
21. Actively participate in climate-related political processes, maximizing the voice of people and challenging the influence of profiteers. Urge political representatives to understand the pressing nature of the climate crisis and support policies that promote the health of our planet.
22. Condemn laws and regulations that deny environmental justice to and disproportionately affect marginalized groups. Call attention to the disproportionate effects of climate emergencies on developing countries, especially the least developed countries.
Number 23. Mobilize to remedy the disproportionate effects of resources depletion, environmental degradation, and pollution on vulnerable populations such as indigenous people.
24. Foster inclusion while addressing the peoples in this conflict. Realizing that collaboration within indigenous communities is crucial and in ending the climate crisis.
Number 25, the last one, acknowledging all forms of life on Earth. Understanding that we are all interconnected in the global ecosystem.
Through this collective agreement,
Through this collective agreement,
Through this collective agreement, we strive to harness the power of the youth to build a future that is certain and free of the devastation of the climate crisis.
How do you like that? Let me hear you. Awesome. So I want to see all your beautiful faces in the video with this, I don't know, I think pretty inspiring and powerful document. I hope that it clearly expresses a lot of the call to actions that we already heard on stage today and the ones that we haven't heard yet. There's a lot more to come this afternoon, and really, like, the work begins here. It's not just about talking about it, right? It's about acting. So these 25 ways to act are places to begin. So we're starting from personal action, that we need to raise community awareness. And then we're going to make those policy changes that's going to really change our world, right? Yeah. Hope to have you in the movement. And really, it's about adapting the Youth Climate Compact to each individual community. Yesterday, where I got this earth drone from, is the College of Mount St. Vincent. They actually had a climate strike at their campus, the largest gathering I heard besides graduation. And they actually adapted our Youth Climate Compact and made their own College of Mount St. Vincent Climate Compact. And they delivered the document to the college administration calling for changes on campus to reducing the use of single-use plastic, to increase the transition to renewable energy. Really, a lot of this needs to happen, and it begins with you. So at this moment, I really want to ask you to use any social media handle you have to tweet or to post on Instagram or on Facebook or on whatever you use. Hashtag Youth Climate Compact. Let's see if we can get trending. And you know, we're gonna get more people reading this, signing this, spreading this, and acting on it. And here we have, for the social media moment, Juan Pablo.
We're actually going to bring up a couple of our panelists for our social media moment. And we are basically having you guys do a pledge. So if you could just give us one moment, we're getting our panelists to come up and we'll let you know what the hashtags are. We're going to want you guys to go take pictures. If you see, there's a lot of different posts up about the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, all around the tent. So we definitely want you guys to be interactive here at this moment. But I'm going to welcome these panelists back up to the stage, and we're going to do this social media moment, guys. Let's get trending. Are you guys ready to do that? All right, one moment.
Yeah. Do I go up there?
I think the mic should be working.
All right, thank you so much for allowing us all to be here. This was a very inspiring panel of people. And as we are all influencers, I think one of our biggest messages is outreach. And we need to spread the word of not only the SDGs, but the Youth Climate Compact. And for me, I am pledging for Fridays free of plastic. That is my pledge, in partnership with the Youth Climate Compact. So.
Bueno, yo voy a hablar en español, pues soy colombiana y quiero llegarle también a la gente en Latinoamérica. Quiero invitarlos hoy a que se unan a este movimiento, a que en este momento todos desde nuestros celulares posteemos, invitemos a la gente a comprometerse con el cambio climático, hacer algo por el cambio climático. Yo personalmente me comprometo a seguir poniendo todo mi corazón y seguir trabajando junto a las comunidades indígenas para proteger nuestros recursos naturales. Así que la invitación es a comprometerse hoy.
Can I talk in Spanish? Okay, no. Hi, my name is Laura. We just talked a few minutes ago, and my pledge, my commitment with the planet is waste consumption, waste conscious, but I'm sorry, waste conscious, recycling, and as my friend Luke has his Plastic Fridays, I want to have a garage sale on Sundays, something I can do to make fashion influencers do and make a trend out of it. Let's see how it goes. Wish me luck.
Hi, I'm back. My name is Joshua Rush, and what I'm encouraging everyone to do is to continue to strike and continue to fight for elected officials who will listen to us and listen to the science on climate change. Because there is no way that it is amazing to fight for the things that we believe in, but there is no way that we are all going to be able to do this alone. We need the help of government, and government means electing officials who are going to listen to us. So I will strike with you, I will fight with you, we will lobby elected officials together, and together we will make this change.
And vote.
And vote! Oh my God, go to the polls!
Give them all a hand, guys. Thank you again for our panelists. Okay, guys, so the hashtags, we want you guys to go around for a few minutes before our lunchtime workshops, and we're gonna have everyone, the hashtag that we wanna go trending, guys, is Youth Climate Compact. So hashtag Youth Climate Compact, and you can also put our Act Now as well as our media action zone. So we have the SDG Action Zone, so we can put hashtag SDG Action Zone as well as hashtag Youth Climate Compact. So let's get trending, guys. Come on, go take pictures, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes for our workshops. Attention everyone in the tent. We're gonna do a group shot of everyone here. If you can go back here on the SDG Global Goals, Act Now, People for the Planet, everybody line up. Let's do like the height order, try to get it looking real nice so we can have this social media group shot, all right? If everyone could just meet me in the back of the tent.